Over 2 centuries after it sank, a shipwreck has just surrendered its first physical secret, a tiny piece of marble that may rewrite one of history's greatest cultural controversies. If you've never heard the name Minter before, you're about to. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button right now. We cover real history, real discoveries, and the real debates behind them. Like this video if you want to see more, and drop a comment. We read every single one. Off the southeastern coast of Kythira, a small Greek island in the Aegean Sea, roughly 23 meters beneath the surface, lies the wreck of a modest two-masted brig called the Minter. It has rested there since September 1802, for over 220 years. The ship belonged to Thomas Bruce, the 7th Earl of Elgin, better known to history simply as Lord Elgin. At the time, Elgin served as the British ambassador to the Ottoman Empire, which then controlled Greece. Between 1801 and 1812, his agents removed a significant portion of the sculptural decorations from the Parthenon, the ancient temple sitting atop the Acropolis in Athens, along with other Acropolis sculptures. These pieces were loaded onto ships bound for Britain. One of those ships was the Minter. In September 1802, during a voyage from Piraeus to Malta carrying 17 crates of antiquities, the brig struck rocks near the port of Avalmonas and sank. All crew members survived. The cargo, however, plunged to the seabed. Elgin's secretary, William Hamilton, immediately organized a salvage operation, hiring expert sponge divers from the Greek islands of Kalymnos and Symi. To access the heavy crates trapped in the hold, the divers were forced to cut through the ship's own wooden hull, a decision that caused rapid deterioration of the vessel's structure. Over the course of roughly 2 years, all 17 crates were eventually recovered and later shipped to England in batches. The marbles went on display at the British Museum in 1817, where they remain to this day. But for over 2 centuries, underwater archaeologists excavating the Minter site had never found a single physical piece of its famous cargo until the summer of 2025. In 2025, the Greek Ephrate of underwater antiquities returned to the Minter wreck for another systematic excavation season, led by Dr. Demetrios Korkmelis-Rodostomos, deputy director of the Ephrate. The team, which included archaeologists, marine biologists, conservators, underwater photographers, and diving instructors, focused their work on 2 excavation trenches, one to the west and one to the north of the surviving hull remains. The first trench, about 5 meters west of the preserved hull, revealed no wooden remains at all, confirming that the ship's structure had decomposed almost entirely after sinking. The second trench, north of the surviving stern section, yielded fragments of the ship's copper outer plating, lead reinforcement sheets from the keel, and fragments of everyday crew utensils. A ceramic slab, likely used as insulation for the ship's cooking hearth, was also recovered. Then came the standout find of the entire season. Among the material scattered across the seabed, archaeologists recovered a small marble fragment, the first piece of sculptural architectural decoration ever identified among the Minter's cargo remains. The fragment measures 9.3 centimeters in length by 4.7 centimeters in width. It features a carved decorative element known as a gutta, a small water drop-shaped ornament characteristic of classical Greek architecture, measuring 6.51 centimeters in diameter and 2.2 centimeters in height. The gutta is not a random detail. It is a very specific architectural feature used on the entablature, the horizontal band running above the columns of classical Greek temples. And its dimensions align closely with measurements recorded by Greek architect Anastasios Orlandos for the decorative drops of the Parthenon's entablature specifically. The fragment is believed to belong to either an epistyle regula, a strip beneath the main beam, or a cornice mutual, a projecting slab on the cornice. This was the first time in more than 2 centuries that a piece of the Minter's original cargo had been physically recovered from the wreck site. The discovery was officially announced by Greece's Ministry of Culture in March 2026. What makes this fragment scientifically significant and genuinely mysterious? is that it bridges the gap between history and archaeology in a way that no document ever could. Until this discovery, the connection between the Minter wreck and the Parthenon marbles had rested entirely on historical records, letters, accounts, and parliamentary testimony. Archaeologists had never held a physical object recovered from the seabed that could be tied to the ship's famous cargo. This fragment changes that. As researchers from the F8 stated, it provides a rare and tangible material link between the shipwreck and the antiquities it once carried. However, researchers are being careful not to overstate the finding. The marble fragment is still undergoing detailed conservation work and laboratory analysis. While its dimensions are highly comparable to Parthenon entablature measurements, scientists have not yet definitively confirmed it originated from the Parthenon specifically. It could belong to another structure from the Acropolis complex. Further testing, including detailed compositional analysis of the marble, is expected to narrow down its precise origin. There is also the question of what else may still be down there. The 2025 excavation confirmed that the Minter's hull decomposed rapidly and extensively, largely as a result of the aggressive 1802 salvage methods and prolonged seabed exposure. What survives is not a ship, but a scattered field of material traces. Each excavation season adds new data to that picture. Given that this marble fragment survived over 220 years on the seabed, researchers believe the surrounding area may still hold undiscovered material related to the cargo. The broader scientific community has noted that the absence of wooden hull remains, confirmed this season, is itself informative. It helps close the chapter on long-standing questions about where the hull sections might have spread and confirms the hypothesis about how quickly the vessel's structure deteriorated after 1802. This discovery matters on multiple levels simultaneously: archaeological, historical, and deeply political. Archaeologically, it is the first time in over 200 years that a physical object has been recovered from the Minter site that can be tied to the ship's famous cargo. That alone is historically unprecedented for this excavation. Historically, it adds a new material dimension to a story that has, until now, been told almost entirely through documents and legal debates. We can now, for the first time, point to an actual physical object resting on the Greek seabed, a remnant of what was removed from the Parthenon in the early 19th century. Politically, the timing is impossible to ignore. Greece has formally demanded the return of the Parthenon marbles since the 1980s. The marbles have been displayed at the British Museum since 1817. And British law currently prevents the museum from permanently deaccessioning objects in its collection. The discovery of even a small fragment at the Minter site, still in Greek waters, still recoverable, revives a question that has never gone away. Where do these objects truly belong? And perhaps the most haunting thought of all, if a fragment this size survived undisturbed on the seabed for 223 years, what else might still be there, waiting to be found? Here's the question we want you to think about and answer in the comments. Should the Parthenon marbles be returned to Greece? And does a physical fragment found in Greek waters change your answer at all? Why or why not? There are serious arguments on both sides of this debate. We want to hear where you actually stand. If this story made you think, if you found yourself genuinely surprised by any part of it, then you already know why we make these videos. Real history is almost always stranger and more layered than the headlines suggest. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this. It genuinely helps us reach more people who care about stories like this. Share it with someone who loves history, archaeology, or just a good mystery. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. We cover real discoveries, real debates, and the real human stories behind them. No filler, no fluff. Drop your thoughts on the Elgin Marbles debate in the comments. We'll be reading and responding. See you in the next one.